What I have here is the very first prototype of my foldable table saw. So the idea here is that you have this table, and when not in use you can just remove the circular saw and use it handheld. And then again, when you need to use it, you can just clip it back and you're good to go. As I said, this is the very first prototype, so I made it out of scrap wood. It's very flimsy, so don't expect anything of high quality. But anyway, let me show you how it works by folding it out. I think we could do some improvement to how stable this table is, but actually I think it's good enough if you push it front to back. It's only sideways that I can't get it stable enough. Moving here onto the front, we have the fence rail and the homemade fence. So this is made using a regular quick clamp. Now in order for this to work, I had to remove the other end of the clamp and drill a few new holes here onto the metal bar, and now I have drilled or screwed that onto the fence itself. So this works very similar to a normal clamp. So when you want to tighten it down, you can just press the handle here and it sits very firmly. And when you want to release it, you can just press the release button here on the back and remove it. I think I dropped this safety box on the concrete floor a few weeks ago, so I think that's maybe what killed it. Now I have to start the saw in kind of a more unsafe manner, because I have to plug it directly to the wall. So that was me trimming off the sides of this bamboo cutting board, and while I do think this is not the most accurate ever, it's definitely straight enough, and I'm pretty sure you can make some basic furniture using this at least. Now to really set a challenge for myself and the table saw, I have this cheap Chinese plastic digital caliper, and I want to pick a specific measurement, make a cut, and then we'll see how well it compares to that first measurement. I choose to go with 30 because that's a nice and even number. I made 3 of these just to simulate repeated cuts that you make on a real project. So let's see how good the accuracy is. 30.1, 30.1, and 30.2. So there is some slight variations to the width of all the pieces, but it's within 1/10 of a millimeter, so I would definitely call this good enough. And for a job site table saw like this, I think this has some potential, to be honest. Now in the final version, I would definitely swap out the tabletop itself for some birch plywood. I would like to make the entire construction out of metal, and I would find out some better way to make it more lightweight. I think I should give you a quick tour of the things that can be improved on this saw, which is pretty much everything. But starting with the saw itself, I would definitely need to change it out because it can only cut up to 38 millimeters in thickness, whereas a 2x4 measures 45 millimeters in thickness. So any lumber, I have to cut it in 2 passes, which is quite cumbersome. So I'd like to be able to do it in 1 pass. I think the fence is the part of the saw that I'm the most proud of, although I think the clamp mechanism takes up too much space, so it will probably be better to make a homemade version. So this brace that holds together the saw, I would like to change it for something more elegant or whatever. I should make this part here stick out a bit longer so that I could put another hole about here and a hole in the leg, so that when this comes from here and swings out, you could just place a pin through the plywood and through the leg so that it locks in place. But maybe that has to be made out of metal so that it won't flex. If I make part of this out of metal, I'll probably make almost the whole construction out of metal, except for the tabletop, which I want to be lightweight. Now that I'm thinking about it, I probably want to make another tabletop that goes on top of this one and flips out on the back to make an extension table. The only issue with that is that if you make another table at about the same level as this one, if I put the hinge on the top, then I have a hinge sticking out here and all the work material will catch onto that hinge. And obviously I can't put it on the bottom because then you could only flip it down, whereas I want to flip it all the way up. So I somehow have to make a linked piece with 2 holes like this that could flip together with the table. So that pretty much wraps up the video. I'm gonna leave this project aside for a couple of months just so I don't get overly frustrated and stops halfway, because I have done that before and it's never a good thing to do. So I'm gonna leave it aside so I can think things through and think of a few solutions. Thank you all for watching, and God bless.